with Iran or something like that.
Exactly right.
But in a case like Epstein or anything to do with America, American institutions or American people, there would be no chance.
Zero.
What is the overall sentiment at the CIA of the Mossad?
There is great and deep respect for the Mossad's operational abilities. And that was enhanced greatly by this pager and cell phone operation against Hezbollah. Mm-hmm. I'd love to talk about that if we have a minute. Otherwise, we've never gotten along with Mossad.
Over the years, like going back to when you started. Out to the credit of the people like Elon and Tucker, even Joe Rogan have been
Marjorie Taylor Greene, even
right.
Yeah,
and he's doing, he quite literally ran on releasing these Epstein files, and I think the whole idea of the Epstein files is kind of like gaslighting, because. What even is? We don't care about that, like the file. What are the files? We want the hard drive.
Right. Well, to paraphrase Bill Clinton, it depends on what the definition of a file is.
Right. Right. Exactly. Like, what is it? Like this? Is this some concocted file somebody in some back office at Langley, put together with a couple of names in the black book?
Right.
Because the black book's been available for how many years now? Like, we can see all the addresses in there.
The black book went to auction recently.
Oh, really?
There's an auction house on Maryland's Eastern Shore called Alexander Auctions. They specialize mostly in World War II and even then mostly Nazi stuff. But they also deal in Americana, like, paintings by Charles Manson, for example. Stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool stuff. They tried to auction the black book recently. The estimate was $75,000 to $100,000, and it didn't sell. So the book is out there. Why then does the FBI not have a copy and then release the copy? If we know who was in the black book, why haven't they told us? To me, that would be part of a file. It would be part of a record. What you're talking about is even more important. Virginia Giuffre, who recently committed suicide, but who very bravely testified against Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Are we talking about the lady who got hit by the truck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she killed herself a couple of weeks after that. She testified that there was a room at Epstein's mansion in the Caribbean where from the floor to the ceiling it was just monitors.
Right.
And there were guys in there monitoring the monitors. Every room in the house and every bathroom in the house was wired for video. So where are the videos? Why have we not seen anything? Why have we heard nothing about Prince Andrew or about Bill Gates or Bill Clinton or Alan Dershowitz or any of the other, A-list people who we know for a fact were at that house?
Yeah. It's like the JFK conspiracy where everybody knows. If you poll every American in this country who's paying, even a little bit of attention, they all know that this was some sort of conspiracy coup.
Right.
Oswald wasn't the only shooter, but the government just says, shut up, talk all you want, make your podcast and your documentaries, but nothing, you're never going to find out the truth. It's almost the same thing here where they're just holding it back, and they know everybody knows.
Right.
Right. Everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein was working on the behalf of Israel intelligence. They know. I mean, just the fact that Ehud Barak was at his apartment and working in his office all the time, was his handler. Yeah. All the stuff with, even with Robert Maxwell and Ghislaine Maxwell. Right. Like it's so obvious in plain sight. My question is, why can't Trump admit that?
I don't know. I was on another podcast yesterday, and Patrick.
PBD.
And he said that this is the first real scandal in this second Trump administration. He said that the White House completely misread public opinion on this issue. That people not just believed him when he said he was going to release everything, they expected that it would all be released so that we could get to the bottom of this for once. And then you've got, you saw that press conference with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. I felt pain for them. You could see it in their faces. Like neither one of them wanted to say, He killed himself and we didn't find anything.
Meanwhile, these are the guys who've been on podcasts for the last 2 years.
Exactly.
Pounding the table that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress to squash the Epstein files. We got to get this out to expose all these leftist blood-sucking Democrats.
Right.
Second they get into power, it's like
everything changes.
They go into a dark room. They come out. Epstein killed himself. Gone. It's complete
you and
insanity.
You and I have talked about this in the past. I always believed that Epstein killed himself only because of my own experience in prison, and I can lay that out. But the only thing that gives me pause is that Dr. Michael Baden, who is one of the foremost forensic coroners in the world, said that his hyoid bone was fractured, which was indicative of a strangulation, of a homicide, is what he specifically said. A homicide. Now, he may be wrong. There are lots of different ways to break your hyoid bone. It's very fragile. He could have broken it when he was, strangling himself with the sheet. Who knows? But for Dr. Baden to come out like definitively and say, I believe this was a homicide, it gives me pause. There's
a lot of other things in there too besides that are very fishy. Like the noose.
All parts of it are fishy.
Yeah. So the thing about the hyoid bone is there was some sort of statistic that was looked at in medical research where they looked at people that were hung or died by hanging, like a legitimate hanging where your feet can't touch the ground, right? Where there's actual like trauma.
Yeah.
And out of, I think 25% of those hangings that they looked at, the autopsies, 25%, 1 to 2 of those bones around the hyoid bone were broken. Epstein, all 3 were broken. And he was in a little cell.
Yeah. With no real height to jump from. I mean, how high up the top bunk on a bunk bed? That's not high enough to, do a Barzan Takriti.
Right.
Where his head popped off.
Yeah, exactly. And, his brother, Mark Epstein, has pointed out a lot of other weird things, like the noose. They said that it was cut. Like the actual photos they took and the descriptions they gave do not match up at all. They said the noose was cut. They had to cut it with scissors or whatever. But when you look at the photo, it was actually a hemmed seam.
What?
Yeah, all kinds of very, very odd things that just don't add up whatsoever. And the photo they released of his jail cell right after it happened was not the photo, not the image of the security footage.
No.
Completely 2 different cells.
Yes. In fact, I saw yesterday that there were 12 people in the cell after he died, 12 people in the cell who had nothing to do with the case. They just went for, take a picture with their phone or hang out or check it out, or where they could totally contaminated the scene. Plus another thing. And granted, MDC Brooklyn is a maximum security penitentiary, and I was in a low security prison. But if a prisoner in my prison was suicidal, which happens every once in a while, what they do is they put him in a cubicle where 3 of the walls are just glass. Okay, they take all your clothes, so you're naked, and they just give you this paper smock to put over yourself. And they hire other prisoners. They give you $5 for a 4-hour shift, and you just sit in a chair in front of one of those, glass walls, just staring at the guy. And if he tries to kill himself in there, you run and get a guard. So what they did with Epstein was they put him in a cell with, another prisoner to watch him. But the prisoner was in on multiple murder counts. He was a serial killer. Why in the world would you put him in with a serial killer?
Right.
Why don't you put him in with, the trustee? Or better yet, take him to medical, which is where they take suicidal prisoners in other prisons. Take him to medical and just have him sit in medical.
Right.
They knew he was suicidal. He said he was suicidal.
And they took him off suicide watch 2 days before he died.
Exactly. Why? Whose decision was that? There, in my mind, there are so many different people who could be prosecuted for a whole bunch of different roles in this death, whether he killed himself or somebody killed him. There are so many people, beginning with whoever was monitoring those monitors at the house, whoever was serving drinks and saw underage girls being I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that word on YouTube.
Yeah, you can say it's fine.
Okay, essayed. When Pam Bondi came out the other day and said that there will be no arrests beyond what? Ghislaine Maxwell is the only guilty person here?
Right.
It was just the two of them. They were super people, and they did all of this on their own. There was nobody else behind them. Mm-hmm. And then nobody wants to talk about Israel, as you said.
Right.
Nobody wants to have that conversation.
On top of that, we talked about last time you were in here with our friend Andrew Bustamante,
right,
for that fun podcast.
That was a lot of fun.
that was electric.
I would do that again.
We mentioned Jonathan Pollard,
right?
And Jonathan Pollard's handler was pardoned by Trump, right?
Yes. You know, I was on Piers Morgan a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the other guests on the panel, well, there were four of us, Scott Horton and I on the one side, and the other side was Alan Dershowitz and General Danny
I saw
Ayala.
this.
and the general, he had been the head of Mossad, and he's like chuckling and laugh. Like I would say, Israel spies on the United States. Oh, he would laugh. Oh. And then Piers Morgan says, does Israel spy on the United States? Mm-hmm. No, not since Pollard got caught. Then the prime minister said, no more spying on the United States. And I said, General, with all due respect, that's just simply not true. I joined the CIA in 1990, and literally on my first day, we were warned about Israeli espionage against the United States.
What year was Pollard caught?
He was caught in 95.
95, okay.
And then I said, through the 1990s, the FBI identified 187 Israeli spies in the United States. 187. That was an FBI number. And where were they? They had infiltrated American defense contractors all across the country. But they're Israeli. And we're going to probably give them 95% of that tech anyway. So nobody does anything about it. And then he just goes, like, okay, you caught me. And then Dershowitz, flipped out like a crazy person.
Right.
And when I said that I believed, and I always couch I'm always very cautious when I talk about this issue. I say, I believe that Epstein was an Israeli access agent. And I lay out what I believe is a convincing argument for that. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to repeat that here. And Dershowitz flipped out and he said, if he was an Israeli access agent, he would have told me I was his attorney and I could have gotten him off. I could have gotten him less time. And I said, by confessing to espionage, you could have gotten him less time? I would have hung him from a gallows if he had been an Israeli access agent and he admitted to it. So, who knows? My position is, and forgive me if I keep repeating myself, but if you are a foreign intelligence service, especially the Israelis, who have access to all aspects of American society, right? If you're an Israeli intelligence officer and you want tightly, closely held information that somebody like Bill Clinton has, or Bill Gates, or Alan Dershowitz, or Prince Andrew, you're not going to recruit any of those people because they don't have traditional vulnerabilities that a CIA officer would be trained to look for, like a need for money, for example, or hatred of your government, or your wife is sick and she needs cancer treatment that's not available in your country. None of those work in a case like this.
Right.
So you're not going to recruit Bill Clinton. You're not going to recruit Bill Gates. What are you going to do? Give Bill Gates $1,000 a month to answer your classified questions? Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. So you do the next best thing and you recruit the guy who has access to them.
Summertime's in full swing. That means it's time for you to unleash those pale legs with the new lined swim collection from Chubbies. My favorite part is the built-in boxer brief liner. These aren't grade school trunks. It's trunks the way they should be. These are the least restrictive, most stretchy, comfortable swim trunks I've ever used. And I can even use them when I'm surfing, swimming, paddleboarding, jet skiing, you name it. They fit my activity. Chubbies make swim trunks so comfy and modern that it has to be technology reverse engineered from UFOs. I'm talking wild prints so fun that your trunks themselves will get the party started. And liners that prevent chafing and uncomfortable pinches because it has 4-directional stretch. This is what I mean when I say you've never experienced shorts this comfortable before. It's like the technology was sent back from the future. After your thigh-liberating splash, you can continue the same comfort experience on the street with the Chubbies Everywhere shorts. You will then begin to wonder why you even own other shorts. And for a limited time, you can use my code Danny for 20% off at chubbiesshorts.com. Whether you're getting dressed for the workday, a workout, or a weekend getaway, Chubbies has you covered. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our viewers 20% off your order with our code Danny, spelled D-A-N-N-Y, at chubbiesshorts.com. Spelled chubbiesshorts.com. Please support the show and tell them we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubbies.
And you set him up in this beautiful mansion. You wire the house for video and audio. You give him plenty of money, so he hires this staff. You bring in young girls, underage girls, and you don't necessarily have to use any of those videos. But just in case, you have them in reserve. And then over martinis, as you're becoming the best friend with these people, they start confiding in you sensitive information, maybe in some cases classified information, and then you parrot that back to your handlers. That's what an access agent does. In and of himself, Epstein didn't have access to classified information, but he got classified information from people around him who had access. I told you once before, and I've said this on other podcasts, but I'm going to repeat it. One of my instructors at the CIA, when I was going through the operational training, told me that the best recruitment he ever had in 30 plus years was the copy machine repairman. Because he was able to put a device inside the prime minister's copy machine, so every time somebody made a copy, it transmitted a copy back to CIA headquarters. That's an access agent.
Yes.
That's gold.
Now, one of the things I think a lot of people are confused on is conflating Mossad working on operations and the CIA working on operations when it comes to anything, especially, you know, things like Epstein or even like stuff that's happening in the media. Is there any chance that the CIA and the Mossad work together on things and share intelligence?
Not on an issue that includes American citizens, or more specifically, what are called U.S. persons, American citizens, or anybody in the United States on a green card.
So how would you imagine if the CIA was involved in Epstein and he was a Mossad access agent, what would be the CIA's involvement?
The CIA's interest would be in doubling him back, but the CIA doesn't spy on Israel.
Do you think it's possible the CIA does not spy on Israel?
No, sir. Not since Richard Nixon was president.
Okay.
Forbidden. Seriously.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think it's possible that CIA caught wind of what Epstein was doing and what the Mossad was using him for and said, hey, motherfucker, we see what you're doing. You got to pay your tax to us, to Epstein, and made him be like, you got to give us whatever it is, 1% of this information that you're giving to Mossad.
Possible, but not likely, because what they would have had to do, this would have been a turf battle, like to end all turf battles. You know how the CIA and the FBI are with each other.
Yeah.
So the CIA would have had to go to the FBI, and the FBI would have made that approach. Because not only are you dealing with American citizens, you're dealing with American citizens who, for the most part, are doing these things on American soil.
Right.
Yeah. So the CIA certainly, you know, it would have come to their attention, sure. But they would have had to go immediately to the FBI.
So when the CIA and the Mossad work together, they work together in foreign countries on foreign operations.
Exactly.
Like something with with Iran or something like that.
Exactly right.
But in a case like Epstein or anything to do with American institutions or American people, there would be no chance.
Zero.
What is the overall sentiment at the CIA of the Mossad?
There is great and deep respect for the Mossad's operational abilities. And that was enhanced greatly by this pager and cell phone operation against Hezbollah. Mm-hmm. I'd love to talk about that if we have a minute. Otherwise, we've never gotten along with Mossad.
Over the years, like going back to when you started.
Not close at all. Not close at all.
Why don't you get along?
Because they're constantly trying to recruit us, to spy on us, to plant bugs in our headquarters. They harass our officers, like as a matter of policy. And then, the chief has to go in and say, stop harassing my officers. You know that they're not working against you. They're working with you, and you still harass them. And then they say, okay. Those work in a case like this.
Right.
So you're not going to recruit Bill Clinton. You're not going to recruit Bill Gates. What are you going to do? Give Bill Gates $1,000 a month?
Back. But would I have the biggest hypocrites on earth tell me when to give back and how much? G. Herbo, the thief who stole $1.5 million of honest earning people money to go on trips and go on villas and try to stunt and flex. One of these vacations, he was trying to flex and hang out with Future and them. I could show you. Nigga, I remember everything. I'm like an elephant. Look, Future, G, Herbo, vacation. I'll find it. It's somewhere. You'll see both of them on vacation. Future got the hits. G. Herbo just went there with scam money. I can't. It's somewhere. It was like in Jamaica. Let me see. I'll find that bitch. The point is this, man. I'm not listening to y'all niggas for nothing on some virtual signaling, okay? Please. Please, okay? I think what we should all do, and I'll leave G Herbo's conversation here, I think we should all give back. Of course. I think as a media platform, as a rapper, and by the way, it happens like that. You know what I mean? Acting like hip-hop is filled with saints, that's the problem. I've seen niggas who terrorize the Bronx do turkey givebacks, and they try to give back here, backpacks. And you got to realize that, hey, some of these guys, no matter how they got on, they're not bad people. They're going to try to not really make it right, but they're going to give back to their community. That's what it is. If G Herbo said, yo, media platforms should give back, I'm with him. I'm with you. The idea, y'all niggas were bloodthirsty.
You think had the most?
Because someone has been trying to content creators. So step aside, sir. Next. Last but not least.
What's up?
Mr. Ryan Clark.
Oh God. You leader? Music bag, because one of y'all sent me a DM and I was going through my requests and I felt bad. It was like, we're covering too much court cases, too much gossip, too much drama. We're losing our identity as like music. And I was like, damn, well, there hasn't been a lot of music. So anytime we got a music topic, we got to really lock in. This is a music topic. So Russ, if you don't know, Russ is a rapper, but he's also an outspoken rapper. He's given his opinion about how he thinks rap music has changed in the past 10 years. And he's telling like these stark differences about how he feels people are receiving music. Check this out.
So here's how I think rap music has changed in like the past 10 years, which I'm sure people are amped to hear my opinion on white guy talking about rap. Here we go. So I feel like the message used to be the meal and the sound used to be the seasoning. And now it feels like the sound, the rapper's voice, the flow, the beat, the melody, the delivery, that's the meal and the message is optional. It's like almost like everything except what's being said is what matters. And, I think streaming obviously changed the stakes. Like we went from ownership where it was exciting to like buy an album. I remember buying the Blueprint 3 and Kid Cudi's debut album the same day in Target. And you listen to the whole album because that is how we consumed music. And then with streaming, it went to blips, moments, moods, just songs, quick skips, adding this to the playlist, not adding this. And so it just became about instant retention, and not long-term resonance. And I just feel like we went from being raised on lyrical excellence, pen first lineage. You know, all the top rappers used to always just like, it was what they were saying. They all had quotables and lyrics that were tattooed on people's bodies, and it was all about what was being said. They all sounded good too. The songs sounded good, but it was very much like a pen first lineage that like I feel like I grew up on. And now I feel like the audience is being raised on vibe curations. Now I'll say this, I get it, because when I listen to other genres, I'll admit, I'm just listening for vibe, mood, feeling, the whole thing. But I think it's nuanced. And not to disrespect other genres, but when I'm listening to other genres, I'm not going into it expecting any sort of poetic density. I do.
Yeah, and I hate to pause him while he's playing that. I've heard that so much about you know, Buju Banton, who's a huge legendary reggae / dancehall artist. He's made that claim about Afro beats. He's like, hey, listen, when we talk about our local music, which is like reggae and dancehall, yeah, we have feel-good music, but it's also about our struggle. Afro beats, primarily, seemingly, the ones that pop off, it's solely about vibes. And kind of like, I feel like a lot of music is about vibes now. It's just about, you know, I seen someone who trying to explain to someone else Cardi. And this was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
100% agree.
And they were telling the person, because the person couldn't understand why Cardi was like beloved. And they were like, yo, listen, it's not about necessarily what he's saying. It's about like the vibe of what the feeling of the music is given. And the person was kind of like shocked. They were like, what? But that was a good explanation. It's about the energy, the vibe. It's about the creation of that feeling rather than really saying some shit profound, right? Like, I agree with Russ a bit. The words aren't that important. Now, I'm trying to see if this is all throughout the genre, because do we still care about people saying shit? Yes. But I feel like we care about certain people saying shit. Other than that, it's just noise.
Allow the sound to outweigh the substance, because that's just, I guess, like how I'm conditioned to listen to those other genres. Not saying that they don't have poetic density to them and layers and all this stuff, but with rap, or at least the rap that I grew up on, we were conditioned to believe and kind of expect that language was the main instrument. And I know that the inception of rap was like party shit, you know what I mean? It wasn't super deep lyrical miracle stuff, but I'm just talking about the rap that I grew up on. And now, like I said, I just feel like everything except what's being said is what matters most. And it's almost like now, like I just feel for the artists who have something to say, but that the delivery system has muted meaning and amplified the importance of just sound. And so like now you gotta get a little creative with it and understand that you have to use like melody, flow, delivery, all that as like a Trojan horse to sneak in the message instead of leading message first and seasoning it with sound. That's if you want your shit to get heard. If you don't give a fuck about any of that, rock out. But
what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Jay-Z was one of the first artists that I remember him saying it. He said, like, your voice is the instrument. And it's like, it's a unique instrument because it differs for person. And he would say that when he was trying to come up with like a flow, he would just think of his voice as an instrument to add to the current instruments on the beat. And, you know, when you think about Jay-Z and if you ever watch him perform, or you ever had the luxury to watch him perform, whether live or just perform even on YouTube, you could tell that's how he and a lot of people treated that. Music did change to ad-lib music. And there's a part, like, we could probably, like, really pinpoint it, but, like, it would probably have to go back to even, like, some of the, like, the Migos shit popping off where it was just, like, the beat is already super hot. We just needed some ad-libs to, you know, kind of whatever to carry it along. I mean, to what we call swag rapping. Remember Drake even changed his style, right? Remember there was a time when Drake used to be like, I'm at the parade, Macy's, and then it felt like Drake was just kind of, like, I mean, for all the dogs, a lot of people feel like Drake was swag rapping. Like, it was almost like the beat is hot and you're just adding on to it. Like, you're kind of like a hype man for the beat, but you're curating the vibes and the feeling not necessarily about what the fuck you were saying. And I do believe music's been there, and there hasn't been that much of a distinction. Of course, you know, I'll give Kendrick some credit. Like, to be honest, I think Kendrick did try to, again, at least for him. You know, I always say, like, the thing with Kendrick stuff is that it's usually only for him. Like, no one else is like, yo, let's go find something else that sounds like Kendrick. No, we only listen to Kendrick. So, like, with Kendrick, we do care about what the fuck he says. I mean, obviously, Drake too, but it's just like, I think this last run for Kendrick was like, you were caring about every line he was saying. But primarily, music has changed in the last 5 years where even the super lyrical guys started swag rapping. You know? It wasn't about saying a lot more than just adding on to the beat. And people like Drake, who benefited, and, you know, he's like a chameleon in the sense where he could give you bars if you want to, or he could be the guy who's just, he's kind of callous in the beat, except he's just nicer with the mic. Pause. And yeah, I agree with Russ. Shit has changed. Shit has changed. And again, is there like, if you go check out the Clips album, of course that's different. But I'm talking about like the majority of music we're hearing now, right? The majority of music we're gonna hear play, whether in the club or just mainstream or even on the radio, it's really, you know, if I quoted you 3 lines from the second verse, you might be like, huh? But if you heard the beat, you're like, I know what this is. Or you might know the first line of the song, but like, you don't really give a fuck that much about what's actually being said, more than about the vibe it's already creating. Right? You think Fabulous is a pioneer of swag rap? Nah. Like, Fab don't be rapping about shit, but Fab was rapping. Swag rap is just like, it's like the beat's going, you're like, hey, turn up. And then you just kind of say certain shit. It just doesn't, you're just adding on to the beat. You're not doing nothing. At least Fab he's rapping about nothing, but he's rapping. Swag rap to me is like, give me an example of swag rap. Like, swag rap is like, the beat's doing 80% of the job. Yeah, Fab's just a punchline rapper. Like, he's just not rapping about nothing that you could like, yo, the last couple of days I've been listening to like Western Road Flows by Drake, and I was like, damn, yo, I would pay money for Drake to go back to that level of hunger, personableness. That's not even a word, but like, that felt so personal. It had so much message to it. These days, I feel like, you know, it's a lot of fillers. It's a lot of people that have filler bars, you know? Like, it's almost like you could tell they're freestyling it, you know? Like you heard the last line and it ended with, oh, these niggas want to stream like Kai. And then the next line, just because it makes sense, fuck around with me, nigga, you know you gonna die. It's just kind of like fillers. You're just kind of riding the beat pause. It's just kind of like, it's just swag rap. You're just kind of saying a bunch of nothing, more adding on to the beat, not taking control of the beat. Nah, Future is not that. Future leads with melody a lot of times. Future is not that. Like, yeah, like Lil B, the bass guy, I would say is kind of like, yeah, Lil B might be the founder of that shit. And Drake has swag rap before. Like, you know, I just think it's popular. Like, most of the music we're hearing, you could tell the nigga picked the hot beat, and maybe he came up with like a catchy 2 lines for the chorus, but he's just vibing, right? He's just vibing the whole time. Like, maybe he has a cool line here or there, but you could tell, like, his job is, it's like, think about football. Remember how they were talking about Jalen Hurts? It's like, your job is just not to lose the game. We don't want you to win the game. Just don't lose the game. So a lot of niggas are on these beats like, you don't have to do nothing to make it a hit song. Just don't fuck it up. Just kind of ride the beat. Hey. So they start with the ad-libs. Hey. Okay. Like, whatever. And then they just kind of add a couple other words. Cardi do it a bunch. I ain't gonna lie. Cardi does do that a bunch. Like, Cardi does swag rap a lot. That's a fact. What happened to Ice Spice? She's getting piped out by what's that nigga name? Sauce Gardner. We ain't gonna see Ice Spice until the NFL season starts, where he can't see her every day. But he's putting dick in that stomach. Facts. All right. Let me see if he got more to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely just interesting to see how the shift. It used to, in my opinion, used to just be a better balance of like what was being said was equally as important as how it was being said. Now it just seems like how it's being said, the beat, the flow, the rapper's voice, the delivery, the melody, that just super outweighs what's being said. Like, we don't even give a fuck about what's being said. So I don't know. Just an observation. So here's how I think rap music has changed in like the past 10 years, which I'm sure people are amped to hear my opinion on. White guy talking about rap. Here we go. So I feel like the message used to be.
Yeah, and you know, again, I'm telling y'all this is going to happen. The thing that distinguishes rap over everything else is that the voice being the main instrument and the power of the message will always be empowering over just a catchy beat and saying nothing. And I hate to use this example, but when you get someone like, I think Kendrick proved it. Of course, there's only one Kendrick, right? But like, we're going to get this new Yo, Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole have ran this shit for 15 years. They're old niggas now. Like, I mean, I guess Kendrick is finally getting his moment in the sun, even though I felt like he should have had it before in 2017, but whatever. But these are old niggas. Like, they've been there for 15 years. There's going to have to be, like, some new artist that's willing to say shit and willing to take it there and willing to engage again, it's easy just to say, oh, this is a hot song. You get to another level where it could be a hot song, but you still challenge the minds of the people listening. This is what's special about rap. And we're still waiting for this next new class. I keep telling you, like, most of these artists, they don't really give a fuck to be... Yo, they don't even see it feasible to get to Drake's level or to Kendrick's level or to J. Cole's level. So these niggas ain't really trying. But eventually, at a point, there is going to be an artist or a couple of artists that's going to be their barometer. They want to get there, and they're going to realize you're going to have to make hot, catchy songs. You're going to have to say some shit. You're going to have to be lyrically nice. And, you know, again... Bro, we're 15 years in and we're still hearing about the drama. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Part of the issue that a nigga like Drake has, bro, we've listened to his entire life. 15 years of this. Yo, if Drake told us a girl hurt his heart now or like broke his heart, we'd be like, nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? Nigga, the same way you were broke no more, nigga. We see you on a jet all the time, nigga. You're fucking 15 girls a week. Fuck out of here. We don't even believe you no more. We've heard every story Drake could tell us. This is why I told you the beef is good for a nigga like Drake. Because in real time, we see him have to make a comeback, quote unquote comeback, because he's not come back from shit. But it's just that, like, we see him have to kind of be in the underdog or punch his way out of a corner, and that's real. But like these other cliche stories, you only get to, it's like A Boogie right now. If like A Boogie for the first couple years of his career, yo, he's making the hot, my heart got broken. Bro, A Boogie's been like, he's selling out arenas now. He just did Madison Square Garden like a couple months ago. If everything he was doing was always about heartbreak, you'd be like, yo, bro, we just don't believe it no more, bro. Like, it's what it is. You do get to a point with an artist where you've heard every damn thing or every iteration on what they could do, and it's either become the point where you got to grow with them as they go through new challenges, or you're just going to be like, bro, I heard this already. It's like Meek Mill. Meek Mill used to tell us about how he used to be, 4 a.m. on the north side of Philly, round like his haters are trying to get me. It's a shame how they hate on me. It sounded great. I'm like, yo, Meek is about to shoot up the whole Philly, 4 a.m. Bro, after he's been on for 15 years and we realize this nigga is popping rich as fuck, he's doing good. When he tells us he's rolling through Philly 4 a.m. now, we don't believe it. Like, at a time we did. So what I'm trying to say is that with artists, we're always looking for new content and we want to hear things for the first time. Put it like this. First Day Out by T Grizzly. We never heard this guy. So it was attractive to us to hear this guy who just got out of the penitentiary talking about, niggas hate on it, niggas prayed on my downfall, and he went crazy. Beautiful. But after that, we want to see other things. And this is what I'm saying about like the Drakes, the Kendricks, and even the J. Coles. We need new artists. We need new artists that we're going to be invested for the next 10 years into their life. Think about these new artists that's popping nowadays. Do you give a fuck? Like, these dudes we care about for 1 year. We don't give a... we could track... If you're a J. Cole fan, and I'm not the biggest fan of J. Cole, but I know his whole life story. It's 15 years of us listening to this nigga rap about A, B, C, or D, or E. You know what I mean? Same with Drake. I think we need these new artists to be on that level. And right now, we're in a place where niggas are chasing the bag, and as long as you're getting a little check, you're getting a little $25,000 per show or $30,000 per show, these niggas don't want to be the guys who, like, they're not going for it. They're not checking the boxes. You got to check the boxes. Let's say a Yeet. Yeet, you got a great fan base. But nigga, you got to lyrically get up there. You got to do more than this music that you're doing to try to get other people in your fan base. And this is why sometimes when y'all be like, getting at Drake or even Cole or, Kendrick to some extent, I got to defend them. Why? Because Drake could have made songs like, girl, you my everything. And what's that song? You the best I ever had. You could have made sing-songy songs all day. You know what he did? He said, no, I'm going to show you niggas I could rap. I'm going to show you I could really rap. Then he said, no, I'm going to show you I could do real R&B. Then he said, I'm going to show you I could do features. He tried to check every box. I feel like new artists these days, they get to one spot of success and they never challenge themselves. That's why they can't get bigger, right? So now we're in this phase where, like, especially what Russ is saying, we're not seeing a lot of diversity, but we're not seeing a lot of diversity because, first of all, there's no lyrical niggas that's kind of like popping, like just off lyricism. It would take the guys who are already popping to show us that they got lyrical prowess. Like, for example, I seen Uzi try to do it for a little bit, but I don't know what happened. And by the way, I'm waiting for Uzi I think Uzi got a big comeback coming. And I don't know what's going on with him personally, but he got to figure it out. But these artists got to, and this is why X was so fucking special. Because X was going to check all the boxes. If it had to be just singing, yes. Cross genre. The nigga could do country. Yo, if it just had to be him in a cypher just barring it up, that was him. If it was him supposed to be on some killer shit, yes. If it was him to be on some emo shit, yes. If it was him to be on some heartbreak shit, I love women shit, yes. We need artists like that. That's going to be the next superstars. And that's why, rest in peace to X-Men. We got robbed of a superstar. Obviously, Juice WRLD as well. But we're looking for those type of artists who are not just like, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I can't compare many artists to like X, and I hold him in such a high regard. Because he never did just one thing. He did 10 things at a high level. He was 99 doing 10 things. He was 99 in rapping, 99 in like creativity and this eclectic type of music. Nigga was playing the guitar. The nigga was doing everything, bro. We got to find an artist like that. Unfortunately, I don't think the current landscape lends to encourage artists to do that because they get a back. Like, most of these niggas, like, once they're getting $70,000 to go perform at Rolling Loud, they're like, why do I need to go step out of my comfort zone? I'm getting paid $70,000 for this festival. I could go get $40,000 by myself. Why do I need to keep pushing So, anyway, too much ranting. Yeah, Corday was in that box for a minute. Man. I'm not going to cap with you. Corday was in that box definitely for a minute. Oh, man. All right. Okay. Somebody said, rest in peace, Keed. Yeah, Lil Keed was dope. I'm not going to cap with you. Fuck with Keed, man. I'm cooking today. Yeah, I ain't talked to y'all in a minute, man. All right. Okay, cool. So we did this. Chat, if y'all got like other topics I haven't talked about, spam it over. Today I'm committed. It says on my clock, we're at 4 hours and 33 minutes. I don't care if I sit here in silence. I'm making it to 6 hours today. I don't care. I'm making it to 6 hours today. All right. By the way, Young and Ace did send a message about, we got to click back on the pop snitching on him. Young and Ace sent a message about his friend who is now going through a murder trial. Young and A says, I know so much time been taken from y'all. I've been trying everything I can for y'all, even when I fall short. I know I have, and I know I have. I ain't been the best, but ain't none I won't do for y'all. Praying for y'all overcome this. I know y'all will. I trust. Know it feel like y'all fighting alone, but the whole world behind y'all. Praying for y'all making it through. Free the innocent. Queso and this other guy, y'all are the strongest. So I'm guessing these are the two. So I guess it was 3 people who did the murder. These 2 didn't tell. The other nigga's telling like a motherfucker, right? Wait, he's on trial for 2 murders? Oh my God, that's bad. All right, let's see, chat. Let's see. Where's the father? Okay, here we go.
And implicate your 2 sons would have got you out of custody.
You say implicate them?
You had to point at your sons. Let's back up for a second. At the point in time that they leveraged you with life on the Rothermill case, they had already arrested your son and said that he was the one that committed it, right?
Oh, no, you confusing me.
Let's break it down. You said a moment ago that the government sent a message to you that they were going to basically indict you on the Rothermill case and that you were potentially looking at life. You then decided to cooperate. You remember that, right?
Right.
Okay. They had already, on this case, through the evidence, through the depositions that your attorney was at, they already believed that Hakeem was a shooter, right?
Right.
All right. So it wasn't something that you came forward and like, hey guys, let me help you understand the case. You just agreed to their narrative.
No, I didn't agree to their narrative. They asked me what the conversation was when I picked them up.
Okay, let's move on here.
Hold on. I know it's
On January 15, 2020.
Wait, where's the joint that doesn't fuck, give me 1 second. Yeah, this has the microphones fucked up.
1993.
Whoa.
Strapped.
Okay, wow, okay. Let's go back to this.
And you also have a back.
Yes.
What was that?
Oh, Lil Willie, Boss Goon. Yes.
Who is he? From a nail salon.
Yes.
Got shot, correct?
Yes.
And you explained there was somebody else there that was actually also shot and.
Correct.
Now this is the same guy that found Nipsey Hussle in California, right?
Correct.
Joey Badass, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
T-Pain.
hold on,
At
what?
the time, Ace was signed by Cinematic, right?
Correct.
And at that time,
Johnny Shipes?
Hakeem was lucky enough to get connected with Johnny Shipes, right?
Correct.
Now this is the same guy that found Nipsey Hussle in California, right?
Correct.
Joey Badass, right?
Yeah.
T-Pain.
Yep.
So this wasn't a small deal. This wasn't Charles McCormick's song that's out there. He had a legitimate record deal.
Right.
Now we know from Charles McCormick that people in this diss rap and this drill rap, they will rap about things that they weren't involved in, right?
Correct.
Because you said Charles McCormick was not involved in this.
Correct.
Now, you also agree that drill rap, the type rap like the video, bang it out, that sells, right?
Yes.
And I asked you, and I think I asked you, and it was a couple years back, sells a lot better than happy rap, like Will Smith rap,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Now, you had hopes prior to manage Ace, right?
Yes.
But he didn't take you along.
No, he already had a manager.
And then your son gets signed in 2019, right?
Right.
He's off in California shooting a music video in December, right?
I can't remember.
He didn't bring you along either.
That ain't true, man. That's not true.
He did not agree to let you manage his career. Or is your testimony that he did? He wanted you to manage it.
Of course.
Of course not. He didn't want you to manage it.
Of course, he did.
Yet you weren't with him on any of those trips, right?
I was with him on a lot of trips.
You have no credits on any of his songs?
No, I don't want no credits on this song.
And Johnny Shipes is the one that is in the records as his manager. Right?
I would assume.
So let's now talk about the day before the murder. That white car that you already let us know, you drove that white car over to the JSO property facility, right?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Now let's talk about the motive of others. Your testimony is that Hakeem Robinson, who was not shot, who is not biologically tied to Willie Addison like you, that somehow he had more motive than the other people that were actually shot. Right?
Say that again.
We're talking about the people that would have had a motive to be upset at Charles McCormick. Okay?
Right.
All right. You, Butter, and Brown, Blue, Butter, Brown, I'm going to trip over that if I say it fast. The whole thing about P Money was because you believe that he was behind Willie's murder, right?
Right.
Okay. So now Charles McCormick comes along and he's putting out a song. He's not signed to a record deal, right?
Right.
His song isn't getting any traction.
Right.
He's nowhere near the level of Queso, Hakeem Robinson, right?
Correct.
But your testimony is that that was a motive enough for murder. That's your testimony, right?
Is this song?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's a whole list of people that would be way above him to have the motive to kill Charles McCormick, right?
Right.
You?
Nah.
No?
Nah.
You'd have no motive to kill a guy who's basically laughing about the night that you were shot.
I mean, not me. Should I kill him pro se myself?
Look, all I know is this. I'll put this in a question. You claim that the phone that's used by the shooter, that's registered in your name, right? Oh, excuse me, Darrell Watts. Right?
Right.
And we'll get to that. You allegedly burned the clothes that Butter had on him, right?
Correct.
You break through the police perimeter to pick up Leroy Whitaker and Barner, right?
Come on, man. You exaggerating, man. You know it wasn't no police perimeter, none of that. You exaggerating now.
I'm exaggerating that there wasn't drones and helicopters overhead?
How would I know that?
Because you were driving to the location?
And I would see a drone in the air?
So we'll agree. All right, let's say the JSO. We'll let JSO answer the question whether they had a perimeter and they had hundreds of officers trying to find the shooter that was running through neighborhoods.
You really think I would have went through there if I seen all those police and all that? Or a drone and a helicopter and all that? You think I would have went up in there with my car registered in my name?
You don't want me to answer that question. So why don't you stick to answering my questions and not asking me them? Ooh. It's a life you live, right? You live this life in the streets, right?
Nah.
Or wait, are you telling me that you as the patriarch of the family, that basically these kids come by and say, hey, Blue, go do this?
They didn't call Leroy Whitaker daddy to go do it. They called me. They did. What if they would have called I would like to see how they would feel if they would have called somebody else to go pick somebody up. They didn't. They called me. If I would have knew something was going on, I wouldn't have never went.
All right.
Think I'm gonna go over there in my car with my phone and knowing something going on? I would like to been. If I would like to been involved in a crime, I'd like to know that I'm involved in a crime. Let me know that. Okay, it's a crime happening now. Let me know something. I was in the blind.
So you're a victim in this case, right?
I ain't gonna say I'm a victim, but I would like to know that I'm being involved in something and just ask for a ride.
All right, so then after you know about it, you're then cool with going to burn clothes.
So his idea is that, oh, my son didn't tell me he was going to clap a nigga. He kind of just made it seem like I was just picking him up. But you're the defense attorney. Well, I think it's the defense attorney for, I think this is a defense attorney. Or maybe it's a prosecutor. They're saying, well, why are you, if you weren't an accessory and you weren't a part of this crime, why were you cool to go destroy evidence?
Right?
Yeah, after I get to know about it, I was cool with that.
Yeah, what's a little bit...
Which, by the way, the reason why he would say this is he got a plea. He's going to plead guilty to accessory after the fact. But because of his cooperation, he's basically going to get out of jail like immediately.
Of a felony, destruction of evidence.
Yeah, I did it. I like Scotty. I did.
Definitely know you didn't call 911.
Right.
That conscience only grew later when you were looking at life.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's talk about Darrell Watts. There's a bunch of cell phones that are in the name of Darrell Watts, right?
Correct.
And the phone that was used. Now, it's interesting. The government, they asked you about a bunch of phone numbers, and you remembered it off.
Oh, this is either Queso's attorney or the other guy's attorney. Oh, wow. Yeah, actually, I don't think this is Queso's attorney. Queso's attorney is like the one that sounds Caribbean. It's a woman. So this is the other guy's attorney.
Top of your head, right?
Yeah.
But the one that they had to tell you was 478-305-9583.
Objection, Judge.
What's the grounds?
The misstatement.
Okay. I will, of course, the jury will recall the testimony that came out from the witness stand, if you'll just ask the question of the witness.
You were asked about a bunch of phone numbers, and you were able to recite them, except for one that they told you, and you just agreed, yes. You remember that, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's 478-305-9583, right?
Right.
Now, that phone's under your dead friend's name, Darrell Watts, right?
Right.
You paid for that phone, right?
Correct.
And in December, you paid something like $1,000 that you owed on that phone and others.
Right.
So whoever it is that had that phone, the shooter, you supplied it to him.
Oh, I didn't know the shooter had the phone. I didn't know. I mean...
So, Darrell Watts was your best friend, right?
Yeah.
He was murdered.
Yeah.
To this day, you are not cleared as a suspect in that case.
Sustained. Mr. DeCoste, just ask questions, please, that are relevant.
An arrest has not been made in the murder of Darrell Watts.
Objection, Judge.
Sustained.
No.
This dad ain't stupid, man. Trust me. He's not stupid. I'm watching him. He ain't stupid up there.
Not true, or you're saying it's not, or you're saying you do want your other son to be convicted?
Ooh.
No, I'm not saying I...
Here we go.
I mean, if... Correct.
All right.
Here we go.
So, your other son, Abdul Jr., he's not here right now, right?
Correct.
Your hope, something that has been discussed, you're hoping that in exchange for your testimony here today, that his case would be dropped. Right?
No.
You're not hoping for that?
I mean, if it do, it's good. I mean, but I ain't, I mean, I can't say that.
So you're saying that that's not true, or you're saying it's not, or you're saying you do want your other son to be convicted?
No, I'm not saying I want him to be convicted. I'm not saying that I want him to be convicted. If they drop his case because of what I'm doing, great.
As long as you're protected, that's the most important.
So it looks like two of his sons were charged, and they're trying to see, like, are you trying to say Queso is the bad apple? We got to sacrifice him, save me, and save my other son. Or what he's about to ask him now is, are you just in this for yourself? This is like an interesting thing, because this is a father with like two of his sons being accused.
Important thing for you, though.
When you say protected, what you mean?
The same thing that Ms. Schlax asked you. You said, well, if they drop his, well, that would be great. But your number one priority.
Queso's name is Hakeem Robinson. Abdul is another son. I think it's Abdul Jr.
Out of all of this, is you.
I think I'm number two.
Number 2.
Sir, you come in here as a 2-time convicted felon. Because of these other cases, you'll be convicted at least 2 more times, right?
Right. Correct.
A lifetime of crime, right?
Objection, Judge.
Sustained.
You'll be a 4-time convicted felon. You've already spent 10 years in prison and approximately 5 in custody on this,
Correct.
for a total of about 15 years in custody.
Correct. Let's not forget about the 10 years that I was out free and no trouble.
But then you got into trouble again.
Right. I was out free from 2009 to 2020, no trouble.
I understand, but coming in here today and going back to the question, your number one objective is protecting yourself.
Of course.
One brief moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Wow, that's a great drop mic thing. It's basically saying you're here to sacrifice both your sons as long as you are protected. If it wasn't a father-son thing or a father and 2 sons, it would look very different. It would look very different, but that's a great way to end it, to kind of show that he's going to say whatever up there to save his own ass, even if he gives up his kids. Wow. Yo, chat, this gotta be so tough. Like I know some of y'all like, yo, this guy's scum. He's testifying against his kids. Yo, this is crazy. This is a father testifying against his sons. Yeah, I'm wondering, they don't have like a camera on Queso, but I'm wondering if Queso's looking at his dad like just with tears in his eyes, like, yo, dad, how could you? Even if like, you know, maybe his dad's looking at him like, no, nigga, you're wrong. You shouldn't have did that. I never told you to do that. You want me to go to jail and go sit down for you doing some dumb shit? But I know his son got to be looking at him like, yo, it's one thing if my nigga did it. It's another thing if my daddy did it. Because most sons want to be like they pops. And he's probably looking at, like, so the defendant's table is going to be over this side. I'm watching his eyes. He's not really looking over here that much. But I could be wrong. I'm wondering if he's having eye contact with his son. Damn.
Mr. Robinson, one more
He just
thing.
did. He just did. You see that? Look. Right there. Yeah, he's looking at his son right there. Damn, man. Yeah, he's looking at his son right there. That's a fact. You can see he's trying to keep forward eye contact. That's him and the person who's interrogating him. But damn, you could tell. I ain't gonna lie. When Queso go to his cell tonight, I know he heard that his dad was gonna do this. He crying. 100%. You gotta cry. Yo, that's your pops. Your pops stood up there and they said, now granted, he can't say certain stuff, but like, your pops be like, yo, I'm just here for myself. Fuck it. Yeah, you see that look? Damn. Now he's back looking. Damn.
Mr. Robinson, one more thing.
Somebody said that. They said you could tell his dad was an enabler to the street shit. Ain't that a bitch? It be like that, right? The nigga who probably like, he kind of gaslit you a little bit to get into that life. You get into that life, and that nigga telling on you, bro.
The deal with Cinematic, that occurred right in the months before this murder, right?
Yes.
Basically, right around December, they fly him out to California. He's shooting music videos, but it's right around that time that he inked that deal.
I'm not sure. I don't remember him going out to California, so I can't say.
But you can say that that deal was inked right around that time.
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any redirect?
A little bit, Judge.
Police court.
Yes.
Watt's name.
Yes.
Did you give that number to Chris Brown?
I'm going to show you what's in evidence. It states 187. Is that on your screen?
Scope across.
So Hakeem.
You getting emotional, Chad?
No.
What?
You getting emotional?
Is that Chris Brown? That was shooting?
No.
What?
So Hakeem.
And you indicated a few moments ago that Hakeem's approximately 6'2".
Damn. I think they showed the video that supposedly has the murder in it, and they ask him, and he says his son. Look at his face. You can tell he looks at his son too, bro. Look, you can tell he's looking at his son because the guy who's interrogating him is right here, bro. Is right here. You can tell he's looking left. He looks at his son, bro, like, damn, the final dagger, bro. He just, he did it to his son, my nigga. God damn. Fuck. Look. Here we go.
So Hakeem.
He says Hakeem.
And you indicated
Hakeem is queso. Hakeem is queso. Damn, chat. That's the bullets. God damn.
shooting?
They asked him, is that Chris? Because remember, his son's whole defense is, that's not me running with the mask. I'm taller. I don't look like that. They got a wrong person. Remember, he's the one who burnt the clothes. He burnt the clothes off the, remember, they went on a drill. They wore the clothes. They gave it to him and he burnt it. And he's testifying. They said, that video you seen of the nigga running and the shooting, you burned the clothes. You know who took that clothes off? Was that Chris Brown? That's another guy. Not Chris Brown. It's another guy. Was it Chris Brown doing all that shooting? And you know what he said?
I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it.
No.
He said, it's not Chris Brown. Who is it? Look, he look at his son, man. Yo, chat, read the Bible. You can go back to the Roman Empire, man. Before they gonna stab that knife in your back, they always gonna look you in the eye, man. They gonna look you in the eye, and you gonna see a blank stare. He look his son in the eye right here before he said his son's name. And he delivered him up.
I've seen him do it.
He excelled.
It's Hakeem.
It's Hakeem. That's, you gotta remember, that's the name you gave your son when he came out the womb. You held him in the delivery room. You said, this is Hakeem Robinson. This was your son. This is a son that you took responsibility of because you nutted in his mom. You were supposed to lead him as a man. You were supposed to keep him out of the street, keep him out of gangs, keep him out of trouble, guide and lead him. You were supposed to be that person from he was a baby until you could realize he could be a man and he could do his thing independently. But you knew he couldn't do his thing independently because even after he murdered somebody, you still took his clothes and went to burn it. You, as a father, has failed. You took this kid as a baby. And now you understand, and they said, who is the shooter on the screen, and you said, it's Hakeem. God damn it. God damn it. Listen, I'm not here defending Queso. What I'm saying is that this is why parenting is a great thing and like an important thing. He failed as a parent. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think good karma is going to come to him until he realizes that his failures, yeah, you could blame your son because your son is a delinquent. You raised the delinquent. You raised the killer. And you raised him to do it exactly what he did. And when he did that, you try to cover up for him. When y'all got caught, you served him up to the police. And you served him up for life imprisonment that you could go home free. You a bad man.
And you indicated a few moments ago that...
See, he's looking again at his son. This shit's hurting. Look at his face, chat. This shit gotta be burning his soul.
Teams, approximately 6'2". Have you ever measured him, or are you just going off what you believe?
No, I never measured.
Damn, you held that nigga as a baby. You were his father. You held him as a baby. And his whole defense is, that's not me. I'm taller than that guy. And you his father. You're on the stand saying, I know my son. I burnt his clothes. That man in that video shooting that person that did that murder, that's my son. Open and shut, chat. Grand opening, grand closing. Queso is cooked.
As he sits here today, does Hakeem Robinson look the same as he did 5 years ago?
Yo, you can't look at his son, Chad. He can't. Oh, my God. You could tell. He can't look at his son for too long, Chad. He can't look at his son for too long. Look.
Approximately 6'2". Have you ever measured him, or are you just going off what you believe?
No, I never measured.
As he sits here today...
Look, he's looking at him.
Does Hakeem Robinson look the same as he did 5 years ago?
He's going to look back at him. See? Damn. Yo, let me tell you this, man. I don't know if y'all got kids. I know I'm probably the last. I'm latest with the kids parade. We gonna get little academics junior soon. Don't worry. Okay, the next let's put 2 years on it because we can't rush it. But Chad, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yo, I pray to God I'm a good father. I'm pray to God that my kid don't get into nothing crazy, and I pray I could be a good example for my kid. Because I ain't gonna lie, this shit gotta hurt. This shit gotta hurt. He looking his son in the eye. He ain't see his son in 5 years. His son been locked up. He been locked up. And he got to look at his son and who he ain't seen 5 years. And they asking him, that's him? Guarantee Queso got his head down, bro. There's no way you could look at your dad like this, bro. There's no way you could look at. There's no way you could look, unless Queso's crying. It's no way. It's no way you could look at your dad in his eyes while he's looking at you, telling on you like this. No way. Queso got to be looking down like, damn. Who said that? Mike, stop capping. You snitch on your son. Mike, I seen your comment before. You snitch on your son. This is a devious look, man. This look right here. Yo, there's tears in his eyes. I'm not trying to make this funny, but there's tears in his eyes. You could tell. But it's like, damn, like, why did you agree to do this? I'm going to tell you why I think he did agree, though, because he's a 2-time already convicted felon. I think accessory to a murder gives him, like, it's not some regular shit. Sometimes that would be like 10 to 15. I think this is like 20 for him. This would be like 20. Like, yo, you got to remember, this is Florida. Florida don't play. Florida not going to let you keep your name being in murders all the time and you good. No way. So because he got convictions already and he back in another one, if he don't tell, he's caught. So he literally is serving up his son that he could see the outside of a jail cell. Damn, this shit's crazy.
No.
Overruled.
So they asked him, has your son appearance changed over the last 5 years as he's been incarcerated? and he looks at his son. You can tell there's water in his eyes. I don't know what Queso doing. I wish I had like a little side screen we could see. But he basically said, nah, he don't look different. Yeah, he's looking at him. Damn.
What's that?
Does he look different today, Hakeem Robinson, than he did 5 years ago? Has
looking
his
at him again.
build changed in any way?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he look a little grown, like, you know.
So he was smaller 5 years ago?
Objection, leaving to strike.
Okay.
Yo, he's really telling on his son. Yo, he really telling on his son.
Sustained. Just rephrase your question.
Yo, look at his eyes. He's I don't know what Queso is doing right now, but I could tell Queso is hurt, my nigga. And he keep looking at him. I could tell, I don't know, maybe I'm probably, trying to put my opinion a little bit too much into this. But I feel like he's watching his son hurt and he want to say some shit to not completely violate, but you already completely violated, so you can't do nothing. I'm telling you, Queso's stomach is twisted up right now. Pause.
Sure. You said bigger today?
Yes.
Objection, leaving to strike.
Okay. There's no evidence to strike, so I'm not striking. It's because the attorney's questions are not evidence. Anybody's attorney's questions are not evidence, but rephrase your question without leading.
Judge, sorry, Mr. Robinson, I didn't hear your answer. When I asked you, how does he look different today, what was your response?
He like grown, gained a little weight.